So I've already gone to Solid Professor. I have downloaded this part, pulled it up in Inventor. So I want to look at my part before I begin to edit it and put some other sketches on it. So I'm going to rotate this just to see what it looks like, and where is the best place for me to start. For me, I like to start on a flat edge as opposed to working on a plane. I think it's going to be a lot easier for you to start. So the first sketch that I need to make is a keyhole. And I'm going to sketch that on the bottom, and I want to make sure that I'm sketching it on the proper side. So I'm going to hit bottom. I'm going to do a quick rotation and make sure I'm in the right place, and I am. So I'm going to start my new 2D sketch on the bottom because that is my flattest surface. I'm going to give myself a little rotation just for the ease of it. I'm in the right spot. So when I first looked at that keyhole, I just saw two images. I saw a square and a rectangle. And for me, it was easier to do a rectangle and a circle. And they actually give you dimensions that you can use. So the first dimension is for the cutout is the rectangle. And so I need it to be 18 inches wide by 65, I'm not inches, millimeters. 18 millimeters wide by 65 millimeters tall. So I'm going to come with a rectangle. I'm going to start on this bottom line, and I'm going to bring this out, making sure that I'm putting my proper measurements in. Okay, so I now have a rectangle that is 65 by 18. So that's the first part. The next thing I want to do is I want to use my circle to make the top part of the key. That was just easiest for me to do. And they give me the radius. And so here's when you're going to have to use a little bit of math. The radius is half of a diameter. So if they give me a radius of 12, I need to make sure that my circle is a diameter of 24, because that's 2 times 12. So I'm going to put a circle here, and I want to make sure that that circle has a diameter of 24. Okay, so I have these two right where I want them. Let me zoom in on this bottom line. Make sure that I have it exactly where I want it. It's a little off. So let's see if we can move this square or rectangle up a bit. Oops, I don't want that. If we can move it up just a tad bit. And the reason I'm trying to get this, there it is, on that line, it's going to be a lot easier when I start to do my extrusions. So the picture also tells me how far off that keyhole is from the edge of that block. So they're telling me that the total width of this block is 40 millimeters, but this cutout is going to be 18. So again, just doing a little bit of math, if I take 18 from 40, that's going to leave me with 22. And if I take 22 and divide it in half, it means that each section, this keyhole should be 11 millimeters from the outside edge. So I am going to dimension my rectangle to make sure that is 11 millimeters off of the edge. And we know this is 18 because we have that dimension already. It's 18. And if I wanted to check to see if this was also going to be 11, it is. And so we're good. So now that I have my rectangle exactly where I need it, the next thing I need to do is I need to attach my circle to my rectangle, and then I'm going to do some trim work. So I want to bring this here so that the circle just comes over the edge of the rectangle. I'm going to come in and I'm going to trim. I would love to trim that, and I would love to trim that part. So now that I've trimmed what I need to trim, and I have my keyhole centered where I need it, I can now finish this sketch. Once I finish this sketch, I want to come to extrude. I want to use my cut feature. Notice they've already highlighted the keyhole. I want you to change the distance to all to make sure that it cuts through all of that material, and click OK. So now I have my keyhole. It's not perfect yet because I need to put some fillets. I'm going to save my fillets until the end. Okay, so let's bring it back home. So remember I told you it's important to make sure you got it exactly on the edge. If you look, this part's not cut out. That means I need to go back and I need to edit my sketch. So come back. All right. Let's edit this sketch. There we go. Now we fixed it, and so now it's cut out. Okay, so now that I have my keyhole, it's looking good so far. It's really where I want to be right now. The next thing I want to do is there are two holes that are on the side near the shorter end, and it actually gives you a lot of information for those holes. They tell you the diameter of both holes, but they also give you the distance from the edges on your bracket. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start another 2D sketch. I'm going to do it on the front, but it doesn't matter if it's on the front or the back because it's going to go straight through this material. So I want to take and I want to put two circles. My first circle, I want that diameter to be 12. And my second circle, I want my diameter to be 14. So now I have my two circles. Now I need to dimension them to make sure they're in the proper location. So starting with my larger circle, from the center point of this circle to my left edge, that dimension needs to be 50 millimeters. From the center of the smallest circle to my left edge, that dimension needs to be 18 millimeters. So now I'm going to come and I'm going to dimension from the center of the circle to the bottom edge. And that dimension needs to be 18. And from the center of the smaller circle to the bottom edge, that dimension needs to be 14. So now that I have the dimensions for my circles, everything is as they have instructed. I'm going to finish this sketch. I'm going to come back to extrude. I'm going to use my cut feature. Make sure you highlight the circles. And then instead of distance, I want to make it all to make sure that it goes through all sides of this block, and click OK. I always like to check to make sure that it's yes, so it's gone through. So everything looks good so far. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some fillets on here. And so they give you all the information, and it just so happens that all the fillets you need have the same measurement, the same radius of 7.5. So I want to come in, and the first thing I want to do is I want to put a fillet on this keyhole part to smooth it out. But I want to fillet just that line. So let's make sure, oops, let's cancel. All right, and I like to rotate my part so I can get it right on the line. So we want to fillet just this line. There we go. I want to rotate this to get the other part of my keyhole. I want to fillet that line. Okay, so now we have the keyhole done. I want to move this over and I want to fill it these edges just on that line. Make sure it is just the line that you're going to put the fillet on. So now I've rounded out the edge of my bracket and I have rounded out the edge of my keyhole, and I'm going to apply it all. And now I'm done with that part. So the last thing I need to do is I need to put my hole on this top part of this bracket. So for me, I like to use something that's going to help me make sure I get the hole exactly where I want it, because putting a dimension on a hole can be a little tricky. So I want to do is I'm going to start a new 2D sketch right on that block, but I'm going to use something called a point. So we've done circle, we've done line, we've done rectangle. Some of you have even used the arc. Here, I want to use a point. And I want to use a point because I want to make sure that my hole is in the proper location. And the instructions tell me that the center of that hole is 16 millimeters from the edge. So I'm going to take this point and I'm going to kind of center it, and I'm going to drop a point there. So I finished that. You can see right there, that little part, that's a point. I'm going to finish my sketch. I want to zoom in. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I finish my sketch, let me go back. What I want to do is I want to dimension this point. So from this point to that part there, I need that to be 16 millimeters. Okay, so now that I've dimensioned my point, I can finish my sketch. Now I'm in my 3D model. I want to come to hole. Notice that hole is going to go right where I put that point. So now I know that I have my hole in its proper position. The next thing is they're going to give you the specification for the hole. Make sure you choose the proper one. So the first thing is I'm going to look and make sure that what is on my sheet is exactly as it is on this hole specification. So we're from the sketch, we're at center, we need to make this a counter bore. So we want to make sure that this has like a point at the edge. So I've selected this one. If I don't, it's going to take some measurements away. So we want to put a point on the edge of our hole. We want to make sure that it is at distance, not through all, because it's going to go through the whole thing. We want it to go to a particular distance that we're going to give it. And we need to put those dimensions in. So the first dimension I need to put in is 10.59 millimeters. The next dimension I need to put in is 3 millimeters. The next dimension I need to put in is 20 millimeters. And the last dimension I need to put in is 4.5 millimeters. So I have those dimensions there, but there's some other information down at the bottom. So the first thing is I need to make sure that I have the proper fastener. So we want this to be a standard ANSI metric M profile. So I'm going to select that. The fastener type is a hex head machine screw. So it says bolt, but let's make it a screw. The size, we need to make that M4, and the fit is normal. So once I have all of this information put in, I'm going to click OK. And if I just rotate it a bit, you can see that I have that part with the counter bore going to a specific distance. So let's come back home. So we've done a lot of work with this part. And so notice that this is the exact same thing, but on the other side. So what you want to use here is you're going to use your mirror feature. So we're going to use mirror in 3D model and not in sketch, because we don't want to just mirror the sketch. We want to mirror everything that we just did so we don't have to do it again. So we want to come here to pattern. Make sure you hover over and select mirror. And I don't want to just mirror the features. I want to mirror everything. So notice everything. There's this, it's highlighted in like this pink color. Everything that I did is highlighted. That's exactly what I want. And now I need to tell it where to mirror. And I want it on the origin YZ plane. And look what happens. Everything that we did, that we sketched, is the exact same on the other side. And we click OK. And let's give it a turn. And there you have it. We've just done the hanger bracket. I hope this wasn't too difficult for you. Just take your time. It'll take some practice, but it's real. It should start to get a lot easier. This was the hanger bracket. Enjoy your day, guys.